welcome to this morning's webinar, Achieve Excellence with Microsoft Azure Well-Architected Framework. In this half-hour webinar, we'll see a little bit more about what is Well-Architected Framework in Azure and how can you leverage it, how can it help you to achieve excellence in Microsoft Cloud. My name is Sasha, and I'm Microsoft Security MVP and Azure MVP Regional Director. Certified training for a long time and with Security and Azure since the beginning. The agenda of today is a very short one. Why is being well architected important? And we will take a look at Microsoft Azure well-architected pillars. Getting started with a well-architected framework and see some examples. How can you get started with well-architected framework and how can it help you? Well, data breaches, for start, have had a negative and real true dollar-euro impact, monetary impact for all organizations in this era, and affect your customers as well. These are the numbers. It's not about the numbers, it's about the fact that these numbers are getting bigger, that the cost of the breaches are and the cost of operations are getting higher. So the average total cost of data breach is roughly 4 million euros. Number of breaches carried out by the customer private information is 80%. There is, of course, there are different researches and different statistics, but the one thing is for sure that the data breaches cost money. It's they used to say that there are only two types of companies: the ones that have been breached, and the other ones that do not know that have already been breached. But the well-architected framework security pillar is just one of the pillars. It's not just about security, it's about everything else. And these things are intertwined, and security is intertwined with operational excellence, the cost, the reliability, cost optimization, and so on. Running well-architected cloud workloads, what does it mean? It means creating business value and investing in these actions listed there. So it is critical for an organization to avoid or minimize impact of not running well-architected workloads, because the impact is clear and tangible. By managing and understanding your budget to avoid surprises in the invoices or establishing process that drive efficiencies, or designing workload architectures to avoid costly mistakes down the road, making sure these are secured and the data is protected, and having proper incident response plans that allow faster, more efficient reaction to failure. Well, the failure and the incidents and the accidents, which are going to happen anyway and inevitably, the organizations try to minimize or avoid incurring in expenses in revenue losses, and these negatively impact your and the customer's trust and reputation. And having to invest time and money in doing incident forensics and damage control from PR reimbursements and fees after an incident is something that, in fact, is harming the organizations. And for this, Microsoft created the well-architected framework to help you with the guidance from proper design and technical consideration to operation efficiency and security. Please feel, I urge you to suggest that you check also the past webinar and the upcoming webinars about Cloud Adoption Framework, which I would say is tightly connected to well-architected framework. Cloud Adoption Framework is mostly tied to the customers, to the organizations that are about to begin, that have just begun the cloud adoption. But it's not just that. I would say, and I suggest customers and organizations around the world that they can use, and that the Cloud Adoption Framework as well, where architecture framework is truly beneficial even if they are many years in the cloud. So there are a lot of best practices and well-architected architectures, though, of course, but as well as the cloud adoption framework, for example. There are the things that you could also benefit from there, even if you're already in cloud. So to avoid future mistakes, for example. So investing in management, in budget management, improving workload security, increasing incident response, and enhancing performance. So well-architected actually is built around 5 pillars. So within the Microsoft Well-Architected Framework, you can build workloads actually with confidence based on proven deep technical guidance. And that guidance, like Cloud Adoption Framework and Well-Architected, is built upon the years of experience from Microsoft, from customers, from partners. And these are proven methodologies and actually the things that work, that have been proven to be good, to be correct, that are optimized, that were architected, that bring the most in all these pillars. So less cost, better operational excellence, better resiliency, much better efficiency, reliability, and at the end, security. And the circle is closing because the security also means less cost again and being efficient and reliable and resilient. So well-architected enables you to actually achieve three things: build with confidence across all workload deployments, operational and operations against. Also to design workloads, but designing workloads using actionable and simple to use deep technical guidance. We will also, at the end of the presentation, I will take 2 minutes to also glance through the site and show you how it looks like and what you can expect in there. And then with WAF, or Well-Architected Framework, you're enabled to perform gap analysis to identify areas of improvement. While the Cloud Adoption Framework is mostly focused on the organizations that are starting, that have already started, and in Cloud Journey, Well-Architected Framework is about increasing efficiency in these 5 pillars for the workloads that already exist there. But both documents are very valuable in all phases. So they enable you to not continue making mistakes or bad architecture choices that you might have already taken. Or if you have not done that already, then it will assist you in starting from a clean slate and from a good slate. The framework is at the center of an ecosystem of best practices, documentation, assessments, reference architecture, design principles. So all this is supported and amplified by also different offers to guide you and assist you in improving your workload's quality. So it enables you, the Azure Well-Architected Framework, to achieve business objectives, operationalizing how to design, build, and optimize cloud solutions. It provides workload evaluation with gap analysis and identifies also areas where to focus your optimization efforts. So we also have reference architecture. Reference architecture can help you build and deploy any workload to scale and meet your business design, for example. So there are architectures that are there a place for reference that you can try to do the proof of concept, or you can use them as your reference architecture. You can use them to in your lab environments. They are present there and available. Design principles are based on proven practices, and that's the crucial thing. These practices are in fact proven from the partners, from Microsoft, from clients, and design patterns from successful customer and partner deployments. Again, Well-Architected Framework is, as I mentioned, is a guidance and best practices for architects, developers, solution owners, improve the quality of their workloads based on 5 pillars that are connected and that are going round and round in circle, that are interconnected. Security means cost optimization, and both reliability means security means operational excellence, and so on. Cost optimization Operational excellence, where we design reliable, predictable, automated deployments. Performance efficiency, lower means lower maintenance costs, improve user experience, increase agility, architecting solutions that are better, that have better scalability. For example, moving to pass by default use built-in scaling functionality is one thing. There are a lot of there. There's a lot of content, valuable content that you can take advantage of. Reliability pillar, scale out instead of scaling up with expensive hardware. For example, build reliability across deployment with resilient, high available applications, failure mode analysis, uh, workload assessments, and so on. And this ends up with a better security, building a security by design to provide confidentiality, integrity, and availability assurances against deliberate attacks and across all the ecosystem. It's again all about the trade-offs. Do you have to make trade-offs in an enterprise context? Most often we do have to make some trade-offs, right? But if it's development workloads, then we have to optimize costs in their workloads. For example, if it's in line with business expectations, if it's mission critical, then improving performance for mission critical workload may be the right business decision, even at the expense of increased cost. What about security? Securing all workloads. Increasing cyber attacks actually drive workload security investments. And as we organizations around the world attempt to protect their most valuable asset, which is the data. So overcoming workload quality inhibitors. These are sample of quality inhibitors to look out, and that could be addressed by the guidance included in Microsoft Well-Architected Framework, represented both the breadth and depth of guidance provided by Microsoft. So if it's cost optimization, then we have some patterns and anti-patterns. There is no cost in usage monitoring, for example, if we have unclear or underused or orphaned resources. This is something that also drives the cost, lack of structure, billing management, or different budget reductions due to lack of support, and so on. If it's security, then we might not have adequate access control mechanisms or lack of security threat response, not threat, but also, yes, that's the threat as well. Or no encryption process. We might have some basic encryption, but not the crucial one that at the end will prove critical in the long term. So these are all the things that might overcome workload quality inhibitors, or no design for scaling. So if we don't have the infrastructure, or if our infrastructure is not well architected, then we might have some inhibitors in scaling. That means, for example, if you run a web shop, if you have a lot of customers, then despite being in the cloud, we might not scale well, and that in return will affect the efficiency, will affect the reliability, will affect the cost optimization negatively. Of course, we won't be able to scale well. We will lose customers. Then the response will be slow. The cost will be bigger, and the cost will also reflect the lack of customers and so on. The point is that these best practices in well-architected framework actually fit in these 5 pillars. But also, you can also take and see there in these pillars the principles of design, the design patterns, building and deploy advice, also different trade-offs and security patterns or cost optimization patterns, provisioning patterns, and so on. If it's operational excellence and performance efficiency, we have the guidance and advice about each of these pillars. So let's take a look at briefly in each of these, very briefly, because there's a lot more about custom optimization, about operational excellence, and about the other pillars. There are 5. Let's take a look briefly at these. Cost optimization. This is just one slide that shows that actually underscores that cost optimization is a key point of focus of our customers. And we would lie, for example, if we would say that the cost is not important. Yes, the cost exactly is something that is most important for all customers. It's the top cloud initiative for 2021, but I'm confident that this will be the same, similar with the optimizing cost or cost saving at the top for many years in front. Of course, cloud is not a silver bullet, but the main reason why we go there is to save costs, or actually, if it's even more costly at the beginning, then the scaling capability or growth capability actually underscores the optimization and the less cost than the previous, for example, on-premises deployment. So, advice about cost optimization, about it's the documentation that will tell you about how to understand and forecast your cost, and how to set the bills, how to set budgets, allocate spending, how to do forecast with Azure Pricing and Total Cost of Ownership calculator. There might be things there that you already know about, but these things are very valuable. Even there might be something that you might not heard of, or that you might neglected or just forgot about. So cost optimization for workloads with Azure Advisor, or best practices that are inside the well-architected framework, will make you your control cost or cost control better, and you will use advice to using Microsoft Cloud Option Framework for Azure. For example, using Azure Policy, so you can go faster while complying, while being compliant and in par with laws and maybe some regulations. So, monitoring optimized principle states that you should treat cost monitoring and optimization, for example, as a process rather than a point in there. There is advice how to use alerts to monitor using its spending, credit alerts, budget alerts as well. Also, other scaling policies, for example. The principle of one that will tell you about this is instance that can reduce costs. All of that advice is not just telling you which products are there, but actually how to use them and how to architect well, hence the name Well-Architected Framework, how to integrate all these products that fall into these 5 pillars together at the best to achieve more or to achieve less cost, for example, while being more resilient and more secure. The other principle might be keeping with cost constraints, where you will see how to develop a cost model, how to map the organization needs to specific offerings. The cost modeling is an exercise where you create logical groups or cloud resources that are mapped to the organization hierarchy, then capture requirements, and that means requirements needs to be prioritized and optimized, as well as to find out some different trade-offs. The other pillar is operational excellence, where this pillar focuses on the use of built-in tools in Azure to help you improve the workload performance. Then there's the performance efficiency in 3 key benefits: agile and accurate processes, focus and assertive application monitoring, and continuous improvement. You can see all these 3 subtopics available in the Well-Architected Framework. It is also helpful, for example, to understand how these topics work together, from provisioning with infrastructure as a code, building and releasing with CI/CD pipelines, automated testing, and embracing software engineering disciplines across the entire environment. This approach actually ensures the creation and management of environments throughout the software development lifecycle, and ensures that it's consistent, repeatable, enables early detection of issues, and that in turn also makes it more secure, more reliable, and more efficient and less costly. Then we have continuous improvement. Planning for failure is important, so that if and when it does it happen, you know what steps to take in each scenario. When incidents occur, you have thought out plans and solutions for incident management, incident communication, and feedback loops. So lessons learned from each incident should be taken and build telemetry and monitoring elements to prevent future occurrences. So this is also a closed circle, and the planning isn't one and done exercise. It's actually a closed circle where you have to refine and also embrace operational improvements. So it is an ongoing concern as the business evolves. You should circle back and review the procedures that you have in place to ensure that they are fully optimized. Continuously evaluate, refine operational procedures, and take tasks while striving to reduce complexity and ambiguity. So that approach actually enables an organization to evolve processes over time, optimizing efficiency and learning from failures. The third next pillar is the performance efficiency. We don't have the correct order, but whatever order you take, it is a good order. The performance efficiency actually focuses on building tools in Azure to improve your workload performance and improve the application management, for example. From active response to performance issues, optimal service execution, efficient trade-offs, for example. Let's take a look at each of these. Load testing helps ensure that applications can scale. Baselines help to establish the current efficiency of your application and supporting infrastructure. Baselines can provide a good bearing, for example, improvements in your application performance, help determine if the app is meeting the business KPIs. If there are some bottlenecks, then these are errors within the application that can hinder performance, and we will be able to find them. Then again, it's determining options for improvement. It's to ensure that you're capturing telemetry. Everything this will be addressed in the well-architected framework as well. Efficient architecture trade-offs also are based on principle of distributed architecture. So distributed architecture is complex and can require many areas of expertise. And to adequately monitor performance, it's critical that as much as telemetry as possible is captured throughout the application and across all services. But it's not only this. The team should be equipped with the necessary expertise to troubleshoot all services in the architecture. And then we have different things mentioned in the well-architected framework, like scaling, anti-patterns, and fault handling. The resiliency plays a huge part in well-architected framework, but also in operational excellence and the entire, I would say, well-being of the organization cloud posture. Lack of monitoring services and health of current workloads are major inhibitors in workload quality. The overall monitoring strategy actually should take into consideration not only scalability but also resiliency. So of all dependent services, for example, applications and infrastructure and other things, and application performances as well. Again, troubleshooting application performance actually requires also continuous monitoring and reliable investigation. And you can't do that if you don't have architecture that is well architected, that is good, that is efficient, and that is optimized in every aspect. And you might have had some bad choices in the past, or not very well, not aligned with the best practices. And this is where this documentation will help you achieve that. We have a few more to say. We have reliability and we have security. Building reliable applications in the cloud means that you can't prevent systematic or systemic or system failure, rather than minimizing single instances of failure. So we have to design for reliability, resiliency, and monitor and diagnostics capability, defining the alerts that are actionable and effectively prioritized to be able to test regularly, validate thresholds, and also verify how the workloads actually perform under normal circumstances and under failure conditions. Because if you don't collect correctly the attributes, the signals, you won't be able to actually design for reliability and for resiliency. There is a principle of design applications to be resistant to failures. That is one pillar in there, and there are building reliable applications actually require failure-resistant design, maintaining uptime, balancing high resiliency, low latency, and cost. And that is something that is going to be this is also that's going to be addressed in the well-architected framework, and how to respond to failure, how to use availability zone, and how to efficiently and architect well for improved reliability in PaaS, IaaS, and SaaS as well. Defining, automating, and testing operational processes for application deployment, for example, rolling forward and rolling back, should be defined, sufficiently automated, and tested to help ensure alignment with reliability targets. How to do that? Of course, we will know only after we've done and went through the well-architected framework operational excellences. And the security is also an important pillar, which is something that we should build on top and practically manage secure workloads. These are built on a secure foundation, which means comprehensive strategy that will protect customer data, secure hardware, and test and monitor. It's something investing in culture, processes, and security controls across system components. And this should be considered for the full life cycle: software, hardware, services, supply chain, everywhere in fact. Practically staying secure with native controls. We have to use, you should use built-in Azure controls, where Microsoft actually have invested heavily across identity access management, apps, data security, and threat protection, security management, but also leverage native controls, for example, as Azure Security Center, which is now called Microsoft Defender for Cloud. We still call it sometimes Azure Security Center, sometimes Defender for Cloud. It is Defender for Cloud now, of course, for me as well, that have been working with Defender for Cloud, actually previously Security Center. Sometimes still there's the old names that slip in, like numerous defenders that we have today that have been ATPs, for example, in the past. But the point is that there are the tools. But what are the tools? What are the tools for identity and access management? What are they? How to implement them correctly for app and data security, for network security, threat protection, and security management? This will, the well-architected framework will also help us to do that as well. And a few key outcomes about the well-architected pillars is, in fact, to capture key findings and associated recommendations in well-architected report that is focused on review workload. There you have the guidance for implementing critical short-term and long-term recommendations, but also the assessment of the workloads are there possible. For example, let's take a look at quickly of the well-architected framework pillars. So there's the well-architected framework. There's the page that can be easily found. When we have reliability, security, cost optimization pillars right there on the left side, as well as the categories of different workloads that fit these categories, as well as services like data, hybrid storage, networking, and so on. Each of these pillars, for example, security or reliability, will have the overview and principle, design patterns, testing checklists, also some reliability patterns. There's a lot there, and as you go through, you will also find very valuable assets. For example, Microsoft assessments, where there are a lot of these assessments, but in between these, there are assessments for cloud adoption framework, like the ones that we've mentioned in the previous webinar, and the one that is tied to this one, for example, Azure Well-Architected Review, where you will actually examine reliability, security, operational excellence, and all 5 pillars of your environment. It will take roughly 60 minutes. It's multiple choice and multiple response questions that will help you get started with Azure Well-Architected Review. So please, there are additional related assessments below, assessments that are related to Well-Architected Framework, like Azure Landing Zone, Mission Critical, Well-Architected Review, Developer Security, and so on, that provide very valuable guidance in adopting and using well-architected framework. This was the well-architected framework from Informator. Check, please, the website of Informator for future webinars and courses that are available there on the website. We have a lot of webinars upcoming in the next weeks and months. Please check them, and thank you for attending, and see you in the next webinar.